What's up, landlords? Renee here. I'm gonna do my weekly pregame before I go live inside of school, and I'm just going to share some stuff I've been working on. I didn't show up last week because it was Easter, and man, today was a busy day for me. I'm going back and forth to Lowe's, helping out my neighbor with sprinkler stuff, and I just like almost didn't even make it here on time. Give me a second so I can start this live up real quick just to make sure if somebody shows up.
Recording in progress.
Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen, and basically today what I'm going to talk about is tenant newsletters. You know how in the marketing online sales space, people normally have like this drip campaign or some email marketing campaign, some newsletter that you can sign up for existing customers, or you're trying to build a rapport and get new customers. And I don't hear anybody talking about this for landlords doing it with their tenants. Also, I don't really see it for property managers, or even it's not even built into property management software. And so I'm always like tinkering and doing stuff and trying to get better. And I've already done a modified version of this where I periodically send stuff. Here in Florida, summers are really hot and the HVAC is really important. So I made how-to videos and I share friendly reminders, but it's up to me and I have to remember to do it. Sometimes I drop the ball, and I realize why other people might not have done this, because I'll try to explain the problem that happens when you have multiple rentals and tenants signing up for different lease terms and different times throughout the year. And if you want to give like seasonal, I call them resident reminders, you want to make sure it's timed with the season. So I was, working with like some different versions. I was testing Zoho campaigns because that's the cheapest version that I could find. That's like the most basic. And it's each system, like if you use an Active Campaign or you're trying to use some of the other ones I was looking into, I forget the names, you can Google them. They're like, the most famous one would be the Survey Monkey, but you're sending like some type of like newsletters or emails on a regular cadence. There's like formulas, like, do you want to send it after they subscribe? Do you wait a little bit? Do you set a specific date? And I want this to reoccur. So I was running into all kinds of problems trying to get the functionality to be like set and forget it. Because the whole point of me talking about landlording forever and real freedom and cash flow forever is about like making it super simple so you can do this forever, right? I don't want to make a bunch of complexity. So my first process was like, let me create 12 different opt-ins, and it's up to me, depending on when the lease starts, that I will build out the formulas for the different times of the year so it gets everything in the right sequence. I'm like, man, that's too much. And then I realized that I could probably get it down to 4. Like I was thinking, okay, I can do one opt-in, whether they're signing up somewhere between like spring and then summer, fall and winter. And even then it was kind of like, oh, you're just a little bit too early with the email, a little bit too late. And I'm like, man, forget this. What if I just do 4 emails? Like I would make it a universal email, but do it 4 times a year and just only worry about around summer, spring, summer, fall, winter. And I spent a whole week fighting and figuring it out. And I think I've actually come to a conclusion actually how to make it work. And I'm excited to kind of share with everybody in school. And I'll just tell you, wonder if I should show it. I don't know if I want to show it because I got a bunch of sloppy notes. Yeah, that's not even it. I'm just going to try to talk through it because it's really early stage. I want to make sure nobody's jumping in here. Yeah, I'm calling them seasonal reminders. And this is basically in a nutshell, I'll just go through the titles and not really read out the emails or talk about exactly how I'm doing it. And because I encourage other DIY landlords to figure this out and do it on their own, because you really dive deep into like thinking, what do I want to share with the tenant? What's worth their time? Most people don't want to give you any time of day. We're all busy. You read like one line or you look at a picture and you instantly, in a split second, decide if it's worth your effort to even look a little bit more. And then like in YouTube videos, I'm not the best at like kicking off these right away and getting right into it and explaining exactly what this video is about. So that's my failure here, and people won't get to my long-winded kind of like, hey, what are we doing? But so I'm thinking of all that. Like if I'm writing an email and this tenant probably doesn't care about the property, I want to frame every single thing for something they care. Like I tried to figure out, why would they care? For health of their family, for saving money, and just like really cool tips. And I'm only giving them the best of the best in a very short email, that when they and I'm calling them resident reminders because I'm always trying to use different ways to encourage the tenant to think of it as their home. I'm not calling it the property, or I'm not calling them the tenant. I want them to take ownership. I want them to live there a long time. And I'm always using words and systems and different things to try to groom them to be like long-term tenants, so let me just get into it. Though the way I designed it is it's 13 emails. The first one's a universal one, and then there's a different set of waiting periods depending on when the lease starts. Then it gets them into the 12-month campaign, which they're all different emails. And I'll just read you the titles while we wait. See if anybody jumps on here this week. So my notes, I worked backwards. I started in December and I'm working all the way up, and I stopped. I was up until like 3 a.m, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I took a break. So where did I stop? Oh, and I did it 3 different times too. So that's another pain. I think I left off in March. Like mold is a big one. They're really concerned with their health, so I'm reframing everything not as the landlord that's worried about lawsuits and like the damage of the property. I'm trying to help out the tenant and take the frame and look, I want you to be healthy, so I left off in March. Wonder if I should do this. Yeah, because the universal email that starts it off is not done. I'm going to work my way from the bottom to top, the ones that I have completed. And the first part was hard because you're structuring out like, okay, we got 12 months. I want to make it universal just in case I help out any other landlords inside of school and they have properties in the north where it snows. But I also want it to be pertinent to my tenants here in Florida, and the seasons of the year when storms and all that stuff. So it took a lot of effort. So I made one version of like, okay, get the topics down a little bit of what I'm thinking. Then I made another version of writing out a little bit more. And then I went and made a third version, and that's third time's the charm. So let me get into December. I'm excited for this stuff. I think it's really going to help the tenants, and they're going to see the value in it and like it. So in December, the subject is resident reminder, winterize, and keep pests out. And then I don't want to get into all. I have some hyperlinks that go to how to test smoke and smoke CO detectors on the Unbraided YouTube channel that I have that is for DIY and landlords. And how to check your fire extinguishers. It's really quick, straight to the point, no intro, no outro, no me showing my face. I try to hide my face and just do the action. It's 4K. My wife narrates them to try to make them more like friendlier and universal for everybody. I'm not trying to put my branding on there or anything. The channel's called Self-Service Management because that's the whole idea here. Get tenants to solve their own problems, which is beneficial for them because they're eventually probably going to buy a house, and then they'll just know what to do, So I give them a little hint about the wax warmers versus candles, how to test smoke COs, reversing the ceiling fans, inspect the windows and doors for the window stripping, and then sealing gaps, small with caulk and big with spray foam. And then I have a hyperlink to the resident reminder PDF. And then I say, thank you for being a valued resident, our sign off. And then I say, PS, be sure to save the resident reminder, the resident handbook PDF, and set seasonal calendar reminders. And that's just PS for all of them. So the next one in November, it's resident reminder, holiday prep, and safety. And then I'm basically talking about, safety, like holiday decorations and stuff, choking hazards, ladder safety. And then it goes back to that link. Here's your resident reminder guide, hyperlink. They can go to it. And it's like, thank you for being a valued resident, our property management info. And then PS, be sure to save the PDF and set your calendar reminders. And like, there's some really good pointers in here. The next one is fall home cleanup, talking about, inspecting the roof, the gutters, and the drainage, and stockpiling the essentials for, that winter season is kind of like for everybody, that's when people get sick and stuff. So, and also it's good, like if there's a snowstorm or any kind of like thing that takes a power outage, because I mentioned that, stockpile the essentials, water, non-perishable foods, vitamins, supplements, over-the-counter meds, and to get ready for colder weathers. Adjust the sprinkler schedule, because in Florida, it doesn't rain as much, and it's not as hot and powerful, so you don't have to water as much. Then the next, moving up, what is this? Where are we at? We're at September. Resident reminder, exterior cleaning. Hello, resident. A grimy home can dull your mood and invite pests. Don't let it. These tips will boost your home shine and while preventing damage and the hassle of repairs. So notice how all of them are framed this way. It's not like they care about the property, like it's something they own it, but they don't want to deal with the hassle of repairs. Also, some other stuff in there I've say like, put you in a good mood and all that stuff. Did I even say anything on that one? Okay, power wash the sidewalks, the driveways, sanitize the trash, recycling, clean the windows with vinegar, and inspect the windows and screens for damage and report that to avoid leaks and bugs, because they don't want water leaking in their house and they don't want bugs in their house. But little do they know, as the landlord, they may or may not know this, I'm responsible for screens. It's like a safety item. It's really important to keep the bugs out for sure, them biting and like spreading some kind of like sickness like mosquitoes or something. In Florida is a concern with like bugs. You might be allergic to like bees. You don't want to get those in and stung. Also, kids, like a lot of, especially if you have 2 stories, this is another reason why I don't like 2 stories, is they'll lean if the window's open and they'll fall out. If there's no screen, there's nothing holding them back at all. But the screen definitely is not supposed to hold them back, but it'll slow them down a little bit. The screens are important, basically. And I'm like, how do I get the tenant to care about it? So every single line, and the way I worded it is like, I want to give them value. I make them super short. And I want them to be helpful. And I'm going to set this series to repeat every 365. And they have to unsubscribe to get out of it. I'll put them all in when they sign their leases and just let it keep going. And maybe they keep them. Maybe they like them or something. I don't know. But they're welcome to click the unsubscribe button at the bottom. Moving forward. Another one is safeguard your home. So my military background in security and all that stuff, I love to throw this one in here. An empty home can attract burglars and pile up problems. Don't let it. These tips will secure your space and save hassles while you're away from home. Also, I wonder if this is vacation is. Yeah, August, because I looked up when is people take the most vacations, and I'm like, okay, August is the month, so I'll put the preparedness in August, and kind of maybe I'll mention about what to do to protect your house a little bit, and maybe kind of tie it to like vacations. So never let packages or door hangers advertise to thieves that you're not home. Partner with neighbors to look out for each other and deter thieves, especially if you're going on vacation. Install outdoor cameras and set motion light timers to make it look like somebody's always home to prevent break-ins. Always mow the lawn and empty the trash bins regularly to set the standard you're on top of your home. And it's such a subtle thing. Like if they're reading this, they're like, oh yeah, it does make you look like a hard target, like you really are, you care and you're maintaining your house when you keep it neat. Because if you got like, trash or like, and also I didn't want to word it too much, but I wanted to put like, I don't know if people know this, when you buy a big screen TV or you have like buy a brand new MacBook, it's not a good idea to kind of like have that in the trash can with the lid open or whatever, because people were like, oh, look at that, they got money. Or especially if I wanted to always break down your boxes and stuff. Don't make it seem like your house is one that's always ordering stuff and always having packages, ripe for the taking. Don't leave your garage door open or forget to lock your doors or windows. Practice good habits to prevent bad guys from exploiting vulnerabilities. And then back to that link, click here, and then PS, another one. I mean, this is like, I think it's really going to be valuable, and I think it's going to be helpful whenever I show everybody how to use it. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to jump off here because it looks like nobody's showing up. So in July, definitely hot in Florida. I'm talking about energy saving tips, and I frame it because I want them to care. They don't like. A lot of times there's like a battle with like, I saw this being a military cop, a military police. Obviously I have the authority when I pulled over somebody on base, and they're like the best clientele, especially like if they outrank me, like they're an officer and I'm enlisted. Man, sometimes I can see like they're very nervous, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this dude outranks me like crazy, but he got caught doing something tiny, speeding a little bit or driving and talking on a cell phone, and he's nervous because he doesn't want his commander to get word of this, and he doesn't want to get in trouble. And like when they're like really apologetic and like, explaining a situation, or you pull over a single mom and the husband, the spouse is deployed, man, your heart goes out to them. It actually makes it much harder for somebody like me in my position to give a ticket to somebody when my heart goes out to them and I'm like, man, I'm rooting for you and this sucks. And I give warnings, like I'm like, you know what, just try not to do this anymore, and then go. But right when I catch somebody driving, talking to their cell phone or not wearing a seatbelt or speeding, and then they want to argue, no, I wasn't on my phone, or what are you talking about? I had my seatbelt on, I was doing like this. I'm like, you're getting a ticket 100%. It's so easy to give you a ticket. So the landlord has the authority, and they can, strut their stuff and pull their weight and everything and force, you to follow it. But as a good tenant, and this if you had them for a while and you want them to succeed, you want to help them out, and they don't do something right, you have to be very careful how you talk to them and see how they respond back to you, and how you can handle stuff. And a lot of times, even though they might break something in a lease or whatever, if it's something petty, I look at like, hey, is this like, pick your battles, and are you going to win the war and all that stuff? Like, does it really matter that you have to win in this one specific thing and force them to comply, or kind of like let them slide if they're lying and kind of like believe their lie? Don't accuse them or whatever. I see too many landlords that want to force tenants to do what they want. Hey, how do I get the tenant to do this? How do I get the tenant to do that? Like, no, you're going about it all the wrong way. Anyways, the energy saving tips. Soaring summer bills can burn through your budget. Don't let it happen. These tips will slash your energy costs and keep your home cool. And it's just 4 bullets. A lot of times it's just 3, 4, maybe 5 bullets. This one is keep ceiling fans set to high and heavy drapes closed midday to block heat. Staying comfy yet smart. Set your thermostats to 78. AC cools only 15 to 20% below outside temps. Avoid excessive strain, helping longevity and saves you money. I was trying to squeeze so much into that, but if you read it, it probably sounds better than me trying to read it to you. But basically, in Florida, it could be 100 degrees outside, and you can't expect the AC to get down into 65. So I try to set the frame a little bit so they understand how the system works, and actually trying to overwork the system is not good. It'll waste energy. So you can go about it other ways, closing the drapes and the ceiling fans and stuff like that. Dry clothes on clotheslines with free summer sun to slash your power bills. Schedule a free energy audit with your local utility company to find even more ways to save, because I do that. My LIPS acronym that I do when I listen, and I do that like dance was to listen, identify, what is it? Problem, probe, and then solve. Basically, a tenant complains about something, I'm listening, I'm acknowledging, hey, what's this? And I'm trying to, get information, identify the problem. Can I get pictures? Oh, proof. That's part of the process of trying to get them to take pictures, is that. And then part of the problem or the probing is like, hey, is this an issue? Have you done anything? And I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Like, what do they do to get around this problem? And then when I get to the solve, I don't solve their problem. It's really like I try to get them to solve it for themselves, or at least get them involved. So I'm like, hey, can you schedule with the local utility company to perform an audit, and they'll get in the attic and we'll check the insulation. I already know the insulation is 20 years old and needs to be replaced, but I'm trying to get them involved. And also, come to find out, you can get a credit when you have the local utility company go up there and inspect and actually confirm, yes, you do need it. And you'll get like some pennies per square foot of blown in insulation. And what this does is it gets like a back and forth with the tenant. You're involved, you're listening to them, they're feeling invested. They're the one eager to go and set up this appointment on their own and go coordinate that. And then also, I carry home warranties, so I get them to do the AC tune-up, because in the lease, it's all supported in the lease. They're responsible for low, expense maintenance, repairs, and stuff like that. And one each year, like an AC tune-up. And I don't have to force it on them. This is something that, like, hey, I could do sometimes or whatever. Like, so it's not something that is a big deal, is basically the point is. But I get this, like, get them involved, and I work with them, and I want them to succeed and be happy and all that stuff. But that's too much talking for today. I'm going to get off of here. I hope this is helpful. And if anybody is slightly interested in DIY property manager, or you know somebody, please send them to foreverlandlord.com. Then they'll be able to understand the school communities that I have. And I'd love to connect and just, go all in with DIY property management and, running a efficient rental biz, like hands off. All right, that's it for today. See you guys.